So, when I was about 17, I'm 21 now. Like many high school kids, I went to a lot of parties. This was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me at a party. So far. My older brother and I were invited to hang out and drink at a mutual friend's house. There were only about 9 or 10 people there. It was more of a get-together, really. There was one kid named Jordan, who we knew through some other friends. I had seen him around and met him once or twice, but he knew my brother better than me, and was older than any of our friends. He was about 24 at the time. He seemed chill, and the party was laid back. We were all discussing guitar and instruments and drinking some vodka. I was a lightweight at the time, being a 5'3", 115-pound, 17-year-old girl who barely drank. I grew sleepy after a few hours, and asked my brother if we could go home, but he had too much to drink, so we decided to crash there. My friend who was hosting the party said I could sleep in our guest bed. Well, once I went to bed, apparently everyone else at the party followed suit, and knocked out one by one in the living room. I was nodding off when I heard the door open, and someone walked into the room. I looked up, and it was Jordan. He was obviously pretty drunk and slurring his speech when he asked if he could sleep in the bed too. I immediately felt a little weird about the situation, but it was a huge bed, and I was too shy to object, so I was like, okay. And he stumbled over and climbed into the bed. I scooted as far away from him as I could, because he was just a little too close for comfort, and giving off a weird vibe. I was still a little drunk and very sleepy, and this guy just kept drunkenly rambling about nonsense, and gradually creeping over to my side of the bed. I was getting annoyed, but I thought, he's just drunk. He probably has no idea how annoying he's being. Hopefully if I ignore him, he'll just pass out. Well, he seemed to take my silence as an invitation to tell me all his deepest secrets, and his comments just kept getting weirder and weirder. The last straw was when he told me, I killed my grandpa. He was a butthole to my mom, so I just killed him one day with a shotgun. I don't regret it. The weirdest part was, I had a very strong sense that he was being completely truthful. The way he told the story was so candid and unrehearsed. He was so inebriated, and his tone was cold and void of emotion. I have never once doubted the validity of that statement. By this point, I was hanging off the side of the bed, and he was all the way over on my side of the bed, almost spooning me. I noped right out of there and went to find my brother. Jordan just fell asleep in the room. I didn't see him too many times after that, except for one time when my parents were out of town, and he came to a house party my brother and I threw. After that party, my dad's shotgun and pistol went missing from under my parents' bed. We suspected a kid in our grade at school who was a drug dealer, but my dad hired an investigator to track down the stolen guns, and the investigator told us that he found the guy who stole the guns, and that he's resold them illegally at a pawn shop, and then traveled to Canada the next day. You guessed it, it was none other than Jordan. This story happened almost 11 years ago, late summer 2006. I was an 18-year-old freshman in college. I went to a tiny college on the opposite end of the state. I lived in the basement, ground floor of an old dorm. My floor was men only, but the floors above us were women, and then at the other side of the dorm was all men. I have some stories that are sort of creepy, but this one takes the cake, and at the time it didn't really click as creepy. Hindsight is 20/20. I was young, naive, and full of, I was in the best shape of my life. 6'2", 180 pounds, handsome, etc. I'm 10 years older, and 100 pounds heavier now. I was a good-looking college boy. In my dorm, there was a communal bathroom for all 20 guys to share. 2 stalls, 2 urinals, and 2 showers. That's it. One of the showers had an air vent that was about 7 feet up, but on the outside it came out on ground level. Well, one hot summer day I'm taking a shower, just talking and joking with the guy in the next shower behind me. Well, all of a sudden I hear someone else talking to me. I think, okay, maybe someone's come into the bathroom and wants to use the shower or something. That thought quickly leaves my head as I realize that the air vent has been opened, and the dorm's maintenance man and janitor's now looking at me through the vent. This guy was 50-ish, and looked like the actor Clint Howard, the ugly redneck guy in a lot of Adam Sandler's 90s comedies. He had a thick Appalachian accent. He somehow knew my name. I don't remember giving it to him, but I have said hello to him a few times. He was also just trying to small talk. It was very weird. Man, I was weirded out by the college janitor peeping on me, and then trying to start a conversation while I was showering. But for some reason at the time it didn't really register that what he was doing was super creepy and illegal. I just thought he was being weird, and I politely asked him to close the vent. The guy in the shower next to me quipped that the janitor did that all the time, and he thought it was weird and creepy too, but harmless. They joked that the best time to shower was later at night, lest the perverted janitor try watching and starting a conversation. It was apparently a common occurrence on my floor. My floor was mostly made up of the freshman football players. I was not one of them. And I guess the janitor liked to talk to these guys about the team and football, through the air vent while watching them. I would see the janitor occasionally around the dorm after that, but I never experienced him spying on me ever again, thankfully. I never told the resident life or college administration about the janitor doing these creepy things. This was in August or September 2006, so way past the time I could try to do anything. I hope maybe someone spoke up one day or maybe he was fired, but who knows. So creepy janitor from my freshman year of college, I doubt I'll ever see you again. But just in case I'm back in that area, let's not meet. When I was younger, I worked at the church my aunt worked at. I worked there for about 5 years. Father M was the priest at the church I was a receptionist at, and I had issues with him from about 2010 to 2012. The issues started when a new priest was visiting from another parish for a while. His name was Father M. During this time, the church I worked at was in turmoil, because we had just lost our resident priest, and had yet to get another one. This is why Father M was allowed to stay as long as he did. He came from another country, Kenya, and I had to teach him how to use a laptop. I had to sit in an office chair in front of him to teach him how to use certain necessary emails and portals so he could do his priestly duties. This is where the problem started. He would ask me to go over things time and time again that I knew he already knew, just so he could spend time with me. He would use that time to tell me about how priests were loved in his country. In reality, it's no more so than the US, and how he could promise his woman a wonderful life there when he went back. Priests in his religion are not allowed to marry. He would say things like, "You work so hard, you should rest in my office. I'd take good care of you." I was a freshman working part-time reception on weeknights. I was not working that hard at all. Such a young and pretty face. He would always play with my hair and say how unusual it is. I have naturally light blonde hair, and where he came from, no one has that. He graduated to touching my arms and shoulders briefly, as if he were trying to be friendly. I was freaked out. I hated my job because of him. I dealt with this for 2 years. He friended me on Facebook, and would get mad when I wouldn't come over to his house. He would get mad when I didn't answer him for a while. He got my personal cell phone number from my employment records. He would FaceTime me and be mad when I didn't pick up. After all of that, he was told he had to transfer churches because his time was up. He was considered a visiting priest and was not allowed to stay in one church for too long. After he left, I finally blocked him. I blocked him everywhere and finally felt better. I told my mom and my aunt only the basics and was allowed to quit that job. They didn't know everything, and I'll never tell them. I thought it was over, but he kept visiting the church during the time between his departure and my 2 weeks' notice. He made another Facebook account and asked me to please come over to his house so we could talk. I blocked that one. I didn't see or hear from him until May of last year, when my college roommate, ex-best friend, unblocked him on my phone to see what would happen. He FaceTimed me, and I picked up unknowingly. I saw his smiling face and hung up. His smile sickens me, and I hope I never see it again. Yes, I should have told someone what he did. I hope everyone else who faces similar situations would tell someone and get help. I have taken a screenshot of one of the earlier conversations that took place after he got transferred. I blocked out personal info for obvious reasons. And yes, I know I said I would visit him, but that's the stuff I had to say in order for him not to get mad at me. I'll look for more messages to post.